Sikit-sikit, lama-lama jadi bukit. Betul ke, Ju?
Betul juga.
You're listening to...
Jom Sembang Malaysia.
It's quite funny, right? This peribahasa, sikit-sikit, lama-lama jadi bukit, is always associated to money.
We also say sikit-sikit, lama-lama jadi lobang.
Yes lah, true lah. Now with the inflation and everything. So yeah, today we'll be talking about how to manage money for maybe a financial stability. But even as I use the word, I'm starting to be scared because inflation is so bad. I don't know whether I'm saving enough for financial stability or just saving for the lobang. I kind of find that it's so much harder to earn money now compared to before. Like you need to work
as a freelancer.
Overall in general lah.
Okay.
Because of the inflation, like we mentioned before. So last time, if you earn a certain amount, you can buy 2 plates of rice. Now it's 1 plate of rice. So the importance of finance management is even more obvious now.
Yeah, like we were talking lah. Where were we in Bintulu?
Okay.
And they were saying, wow, the prices have tripled in the past few years, right? So last time Kolomi, even in Kuching, 3 ringgit.
Yeah,
I remember when we go there, right? After three people eat Kolomi, they give 10 ringgit, they come back change, like, huh?
Correct.
But in the past few years, 5 years maybe, it's kind of tripled to like now 9 ringgit. Almost like KL price, if not more.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I said, then how salary? They're like, salary, no, didn't move very much. Actually, it's not just that, it's the whole of Malaysia also.
Yeah, the whole of Malaysia.
So minimum wage might have gone up, but not as much as the inflation.
Correct. So I find that last time I used to teach the teenagers or young adults about finance management. Like how much you should put aside to save and all that so that you have enough for rainy days. But the question now is when rainy days come, the saving after inflation is not enough to really use for a rainy day.
Yes, yes.
So how then shall we restructure our finance management is what I'm thinking aloud today.
Wow. Okay. So for those of you who still don't know, Gina and I are quite polar opposites. She records everything, like every meal, got category.
Yeah, but
petrol,
that's because you don't spend
blah.
as much money as a normal people do.
This is the point, right?
I mean, the fact that I find that you don't spend money like
I
the
don't spend
normal
money.
person does.
Excuse me.
Kind of makes the quotation a bit different. But that's why it makes a
Maybe
good conversation
I
between
don't
me
earn
and
money
you.
like other people do.
Yeah, so for example, I find okay, let's talk about me first lah.
Okay, talk about
since
you
we're
lah.
talking about tracker, right? So I've been tracking my expenses since I was maybe an 18-year-old.
Okay, there you
So
go.
I kind of can see the things that change lah, what have changed in my expenses. So for example, last time how much I spent on food and now how much I spend on food. There's of course the whole inflation thing as well. And it used to be on my notebook. Then it started to become on a digital notebook. And now I actually use a tracker, which means I don't even have to do a calculation. Because back then you need to do calculation every week to actually know 1 week you spend how much, right? So now based on the tracker, I don't lah. I can just see how much I spend as I go along. Yeah. And it's a free app. So, and the app has categories like, okay, food. So I have categories that I find that the few categories, maybe the main 4, are like food, petrol. That means it's car. Car equals to petrol and parking and
How about the
whatever
repairs and stuff? Does it go there as well?
Yeah, sometimes it does. But yeah, I will prorata it at the end of the thing lah. Okay, and then the other thing that I really spend money on is probably household items.
Okay.
Maybe like shampoo, cleaner, or whatever. These are the 3 main things. Okay, the 4th one is probably entertainment, which is when I buy books once a while. It's I used to watch movie quite often. Now I don't. Before the pandemic, it's like maybe once every 2 months.
Okay.
Now it's so rare that I sometimes don't even have entertainment on my list. So I think my work-life balance is totally off this time round. So yeah, the 3 main things I spend on is food, car, and probably household stuff and stuff like that. What are your 3 main things you think since you don't record?
I think it would be groceries, which is weird because we don't cook. Groceries, supermarket bill lah, kind of thing. Next would probably be food and then petrol lah. And then every now and then there would be your cosmetics but that those kind of things last a long time with me. Cosmetics, makeup.
So you only get it in December once a while.
Actually, I do it like once a year. You know, sometimes how I make my money stretch is it when got like a birthday, you got membership, right? And your birthday you got 25% discount and then I buy everything lah in March in that one go. But that will last me. So yeah, I will splurge for those things.
I don't think it's called splurge.
Yeah, it's a necessity lah, but it's a big bill lah.
Yeah, but it's like for other people, they don't call it splurge. Splurge is like buying an iPhone every year, splurge. You know?
Yes, correct.
Not
correct.
buy cosmetic that you will use throughout the year anyway.
Yeah,
those are not
true.
really
So,
splurge.
yeah, talking about splurge. So my MacBook is 13 years old. And then I wanted to change it.
She didn't, know how she used a MacBook. First, the keyboard ran out. Then we get a portable keyboard for her. And then after that, the screen started to blur. Thank God she don't do video. But now I'm starting to look at... Does she look at my video and think it looks horrible? Because
No, I just know my screen looks horrible. I changed the battery before that.
Yeah. So, anyway, back to tips on saving money. So I remember when I first started working, among my peers, I was the tabung.
Okay.
Only because they probably spend all their money and only save like a 50 ringgit or 100 ringgit per month.
Okay.
Me being me, maybe it's the Christian values that we always say 10% tithing of whatever we earn goes to God, right?
Okay.
So I have that 10% set aside for
All right.
godly stuff. And then I have another
Godly
10% that goes to...
What are the ungodly stuff now?
Then I have a 10% that goes to my savings. It used to be 10%.
Okay.
And
Which is not godly. Okay, never mind.
So technically, I put 20% aside every month when I get my paycheck. And I find that when I started at the age of 21, my first job, while all my peers are they don't really use the saving concept. Because first time earn money ma.
Yeah.
So spend. But I'm a bit scared that if I didn't start at my first job, it's harder when I get a promotion. Can you imagine if I'm earning 1,800? Okay, let's make it 2,000 easy account, right? So I just put aside 400 every month and then I just spend the rest. So as my salary go, I just build on it.
When you say put aside, what does that mean?
It just pretend that I don't have the money. I put in my saving account and pretend that my salary is 1,600.
But you have a separate account? I mean,
Same
technically,
account.
how does it actually
Same
work?
account lah.
So you actually track that you... Because she tracks, right?
Yeah.
That her expenses does not exceed 1,600.
Correct.
So it's more of you control the spending lah.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's what I did. But when my peers started to talk about saving, because after that they realized they need to get a car and stuff like that, down payment, they realized that putting aside even 100 ringgit was hard. But there am I, as my salary grew, I was putting aside 20% already. So let's say if I get a 3,000 salary, I'm putting aside 600 or something like that. So they say, wow, how do you put aside 600 ringgit? A lot of money. But because I started from my first salary, which is small, and then it grows up, it's easier.
Yeah.
But if you start in the middle of nowhere like them, then it's hard to suddenly part with 500 ringgit a month.
Yeah.
Which is why finance management is something that I teach before people get their first job. So that when they start on the right footing and mindset. It doesn't blow their mind 3 years later to say that, hey, I need to put aside 300 every month for my car. Because you have already practiced that. So I think that's a good practice to actually have lah as a young person. And no one actually teaches you stuff like that. No one ever, my parents don't sit me down and say, when you get money, you need to put aside money. Oh God lah, put aside money for them lah. Okay? But they don't tell you that you need to put aside money. For example, actually when I put aside that 10-20%, I didn't even know that it were got insurance and all those things. And then when those things comes into play, let's say car loan or insurance, then I ask myself, do I take from this savings? Or do I take from my 1,600?
Okay.
Salary? So that at least by then, right, I have a decision to make. Compared to some people who don't save, they don't even have that decision to make.
Betul.
So saving for me is something that you put aside the money. The easiest way is to pretend that your salary is lesser than what you earn.
Yeah.
So that when you need to make decisions, you can make better decisions lah.
So it's like designated account lah. That one cannot touch.
Correct.
It's
so
legacy account.
When I was younger, I didn't understand that we can have many bank accounts.
Okay.
I mean, back then it's not a popular.
Mafan lah.
Yeah, it's not a popular thing to have bank accounts at every single bank or have FD somewhere. So I was literally mentally just separating my expenses. But now that the generation, you have different ways of keeping money. You know, and the generations are not like me last time. We are not investment friendly. I'm not investment friendly or savvy, right? But now the young people, right? If you talk to them, some of them they put aside money. Unlike me, I just store one side. They actually put into investment.
Yeah, investment
like
stocks,
100 ringgit
crypto,
or
whatever.
something. And then don't put too much because, those are those investments that is a bit more low risk, earn lesser, testing kind of thing. And that really works in terms of smart finance management. Because for me, I think that me putting aside and not investing is quite stupid lah because of inflation now.
Yes.
Right? But if you're investing and you're getting some back, it's actually beating the inflation with your saving.
Correct.
Yeah, but play simple lah. Like this year, I was really playing around with press some of the apps lah. Some of the apps you know the thing about apps and investment is pretty scary. You always scared that the money just disappear. Because it's an app, but people can just delete the app and right. So there are some apps that for me, I don't even understand what sell lah, hold lah, whatever, right?
Right.
And there are apps now that provides demo.
Wow.
They let you play fake one. That means you don't use money, you just press this fake practice. They call it investment
It feels
practice.
like a game lah now.
Yeah, so they sit down there
Everybody's so
and
used to
like,
playing
okay,
games,
let's say
yeah.
you put 10 ringgit, it's like this. You can practice until you feel confident about proper trading.
Then you use actual money
Then
lah.
you use actual money. But I find that is a very good way to go forward if you're a young person lah. Don't put your money aside to sit and then let inflation eat it up, you know?
Yeah. Why only young person? Huh? Not so young cannot start.
No lah. I always find that a young person who start finance management at the early age sets them apart from everyone.
Start habits.
Then it comes to people like me, then yes, we can still make that difference. But I would say it's a little bit late. So the result is lesser lah.
Betul.
Like you have lost so many years lah.
Yeah.
Before you like, hiya.
Yeah. Compounding returns.
That's why I say young people are richer than me these days. And it's true, they should buy me coffee instead of me buying them as an elder. Talking about coffee, let's take a coffee
Okay.
break.
Today's episode is in support of the YWCA KL's brand new initiative called the YWCA Community Oasis. If you would like to be involved in greening up a space right in the middle of downtown KL, reach out to us on social media, YWCA KL.
Just said, I would like to green the place too.
Yes. Okay, so how I manage my money is, and I think this has been just my MO lah from way back.
Okay.
I only spend on what I need. I do spend on what I want, but for me to buy something, right, takes ages.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I will consider, do I really want this? You know, it's like...
Even though it's very obvious she needs it, she will still think she doesn't need it.
You know why not? Okay. I feel like I've got a lot of things in my house that I don't really use. Sometimes they are things that are given to you. Sometimes they are things that you bought and then you regret buying. So now, having that in mind, I don't throw very easily as well. So a lot of those things are still in my house somewhere. Okay? So when I want to buy, I always think, do I really need this? Or is it going to add to the things that I already have to throw away? You know what I mean? Like, I have to throw away this stuff now. If I buy, right, I have to go and maybe potentially the throwaway work is going to be
Jurita's
harder.
problem or issue is always throwing away stuff.
Kind of, yeah, maybe. But the funny thing about me is, after I buy something, because it's like such a big thing, whatever it is, I feel very happy. I feel richer, you know? So it's like, oh, wow, I've got something that I really want and I really am going to use lah. So it's made my life a better thing for a day, maybe a week.
I tell you why Jurita is very happy when she finally do spend that amount of money for whatever that she wants to buy. It's because she thinks so long is one thing.
It's a relief.
And the fact that she rarely buy things make buying something worth celebrating. Yeah.
My family also will celebrate. Wow, Jurita bought something.
But what do you feel about it? Because my father makes me feel that way sometimes when let's say dinner suddenly is $200 and I say, okay, I buy. They say, whoa, Jurita finally bought us expensive dinner. And it makes me feel like, hey, you all think I'm very cheapskate, is it? When your family rejoices that you buy this small thing that is probably to them like, hey, I should have bought 5 years ago. What do you feel?
No, when I buy something for me, then I just feel like, okay, they're celebrating with me, no big issue. When I treat, then sometimes they have funny remarks but I'm okay with it because it's true I don't very often treat. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to pay for dinner today. They're like, yeah, sure. You know.
But I need to tell you all something about Jurita. When I said that we are very different spender, and Jurita is like a different breed of spending money person is. For example, right, I can say, right, you all probably spend, let's say you are not work from home, you go out to office and stuff like that. You probably spend 50 ringgit a day. But if you ask Jurita, she probably spend less than 30 for 2 person a day. That's what kind of a spender I'm talking about. And that's why what makes money management in this conversation interesting is because she's giving you from that kind of perspective, and I'm giving you the normal perspective. Like, yes, I work from home, but I still spend 50
what's
ringgit.
normal? Okay, I know I'm not
ringgit.
normal lah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean for me, right, for 2% to spend less than 30 ringgit
That's
a
because
day,
we don't eat
3
very
meals.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also shows that you don't eat very much, but then it's totally different lah. People are not that. You are sharing, maybe buy one fried rice, share 2%, that kind of thing. Other families are not like that.
That's true.
So that saves you a lot more money compared to
That is true.
normal spender who's not even a spender, but
Correct,
just a normal
correct.
person.
Okay, so for me, I've never been a tracker. I find it impossible to track. Like, maybe it's a character thing, personality thing.
But you got
maybe
nothing
it's
much
just
to track.
a discipline thing. Yeah, so therefore it's like, suddenly you want to track, you're like, what was the last thing? Like, anyway, yeah. You mentioned tithing just now. Interestingly for me, I've known the tithing concept for a long time. And then when you are working, you're having a fixed salary, it's easy, right? Because you know, okay, X what times what, then every month you just what lah. But for all my freelance things, and when I quit my day job and now I'm doing literally everything is freelance, right? Your income can vary and sometimes you don't even know how much you earned in a month. So I find like now I've made it a habit to do my tithing thing at the first weekend of the month. So every first weekend of the month, I know it's okay, it's time. And because I am going to do that, I actually calculate my, sometimes it's income that immediate point, I'll just open my bank account. So, okay, so now I've got all my work income goes to one bank account. I've got two lah. And all my other, you're going to reimburse me for this lah, pay for what? It just goes into my other account. So this is like my work income one lah. Spending, I don't spend from there. So maybe that's my savings. I don't know. Oh, except my credit card, yeah.
You just spend from there, then where do you get money from?
My credit, yeah, only my credit card goes out from there. Everything else goes out from the other side. So I open that and I go, okay. So that was my income for the month. And then I count the 10% or whatever. Interestingly, there have been months that I open the thing and it's like, oh wow, I earned like 500 ringgit this month. This month, that's like less than minimum wage, But at the same time, I know that, it's a low month. It's like January. Most of us are not really working in January. But it's a good reminder, not a reminder, but a take stock for me. Then like, okay, next month, this one was okay.
But I need to clarify to our listeners out there, tithing is not savings.
It's not.
Tithing is we take the money and we give to God through the church.
Yeah, or something that you want to.
But that practice can apply to a saving practice, which I apply lah. That's what I'm saying. Just to clarify.
Yes.
After they thought, we all call tithing, then everybody was saving and then saving for the church. No, it's nothing like that.
Yeah. It's like, okay, like Muslims pay to zakat, something like that.
Something like
Christians have this thing called tithing.
But we're just saying that concept of saving for tithing or putting aside for tithing or putting aside for zakat is a good way to also put aside for saving using the same concept. Just to clarify that.
So what I am saying is because I'm making this a monthly exercise and therefore to know what is my 10%, I need to count what was my earnings for this month . So just to clarify, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I realize that, okay, if I know that it was a low month, then I am less splurgy. And when I mean splurgy, it means like I have less cups of latte in a week, which is not very much anyway.
But you don't have a specific funds or tabong that you put savings.
I don't.
It's all there and you just pretend they're savings when you don't use them.
Yeah. So what I do is in terms of investment, when I notice that my bank account is looking like, there's a bit more than my normal, I call it a buffer zone lah. I've got a buffer zone which is for in case emergency. Right? And when it goes beyond that, I'm like, let's see what are the FD rates now. And then sometimes when a bit traditional, I still go to the bank sometimes and then they'll recommend me, but you want to put FD, we've got this plan. We've got this bond thing or this mutual trust thing. And how about you consider that first? Then, they've got different options. And I think I'm low risk or medium low risk taker lah. So sometimes I would do that and then I'll forget about it.
Okay.
So that's why I cannot do stocks because stocks you need to monitor the ups and downs, crypto, all you need to, of course you can, there are apps that you can actually say, when it touches here, then you sell, or when it touches here, then you buy. So it's all automated, you key in already. But I'm so not that kind of person because I will forget.
Okay.
So I will just, at that point, I'm feeling, okay, I've done this project, or last year was, I did this project and I have this extra bit of cash, which I know I'm not going to use in my year.
If anyone has extra bunch of cash, it's always due.
Okay, I don't want that much, okay. But yeah, because of my spending is small. So I would do that. And what I realized is the returns come in and it kind of makes me happy. Like there's one that it's like every month, I've forgotten how much I put in, and every month I see, okay, that's like 60, 70 ringgit just going to my account. And it's like, when did I put this in this month? I cannot remember. Or
Those one of those like
it's almost like a
zero risk, slow returns, but it's okay one. Just put there any. Like
yeah, otherwise it's going to sit in my bank
account, which doesn't really
not very much as well. That kind of thing lah. So for me, it's like that lah.
Okay, so like the other way that I will do is EPF.
Ah, yes.
I mean, for me, fixed deposit and all that, somehow I find the dividend, right, from EPF is higher and it helps with my overall contribution lah.
Yeah.
Normally, if you are a full-time worker, employee, you have EPF, so you don't have to really think about it. But if you do want to think about it, you can actually top up your EPF, right?
Yeah.
And then people like us who work from home, freelancers, we can also pay EPF. So I find that EPF is one safe way to grow your money.
Correct.
In a very, how to say it, and it helps you in retirement and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's a self-contribution. And a few years ago, there was this thing called I-Saraan. So when you put in voluntarily, because you're a
citizen,
gig, you're a gig economy person or whatever, at the end of the year, the government or EPF will top up a certain amount, like a percentage. I cannot remember what is the percentage right now, 15% on top of your annual savings, so-called investment into EPF, and they will put it up to a maximum of, I think it was 300 ringgit. 350
I still young. I never
like
think about ISARA. All I think about is a second account allows me to buy house.
No, but this is like free money, you know. I put in the thing, they will top up that.
There's quite a few things that our government top up and we put into EPF actually.
So I calculate lah. And then you pay tax, you have that. Okay, so one day I also sat down and say, why go and, okay, this is not to say don't pay tax, right? But you have tax deductions.
Correct.
Or tax rebates, right? And there's a lot of allowances for you to, for example, contribute to EPF. That kind of reduces the amount of tax you pay.
Or even if you buy insurance, because insurance now comes with investment plan.
Exactly. So I remember one day I was filling in my tax forms because I do my own tax forms thingy. And I realized, I always tak sampai itu maximum, And then I also realized, I have no medical card because I'm free. I used to work with an NGO that covered insurance, hospitalization, everything. But when I stopped that, I no longer had that coverage, or it was very small. It was more like a, I don't know, like life assurance thing. And then so I checked. So I talked to this insurance thing. Then of course they give you this huge plan. You can like insure yourself as much as possible, But then when you actually land in the hospital, nobody will know lah, right? So then I said, okay, I am going to max out that allowance or that HUD. You can claim up to so much, or it will deduct. I don't know what's the terminology for it, sorry. But there is always a maximum amount that you can key into your tax thing. So I did that for a few years already. And I realized it helps because instead of using that money for tax, I'm using that for savings or a rainy day.
For your future.
For my future. So recently, last year, when I had to go to hospital for my, what was it? What did I have now? The gallbladder. Yeah, I forgot already.
Stone in the she have it or I have it?
Stone in the gallbladder thing. My first thing was like, let's go to government hospital or whatever. And then suddenly I was in bed and I thought, aku ada insurance, what? I have insurance, right? So
you can listen to that story in the previous episode. Yes. So let's go back to this.
So that really helped, right? So in a way, it's like being smart on how I spend the money, spending the money on EPF, like you said, or insurance that is for a rainy day. And at the same time, it is reducing the tax that I'm paying. Okay, there's a reason for it because I'm sure government is smart enough to know that if you got insurance, you pay less tax, but also means that you don't go government hospital necessarily. If you don't go, then their expenses also kind of balances off lah. So I find that really helps as well. Being smart in how you do your taxes, how you spend your money, using those tax incentives lah.
So I think at the end of the day, in today's era, when we talk about smart finance management, okay, sometimes Gina talks too fast. Unlike 20, 30 years ago, your parents say put your money aside for rainy days. Now, putting your money aside does not help because of inflation.
Yes.
A smart way to do it is make your money grow.
Yeah.
That is the saving method that I would go for. Whether it's growing in your bank account is a bit slow, growing in your e-wallets or in your investment plan, or just sitting in the FD is still better than just
Nothing.
sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah.
And even, for example, again, I'm not promoting Touch and Go, but Touch and Go make it so easy that they even have their Go Plus.
Yeah.
I mean, even earning 30 cents a day if you just put 500 ringgit in there. Which I'm quite surprised because I saw a lot of auntie, uncle, they have thousands inside there.
Wow.
And every day they're costing 5 ringgit. And they're happy just doing that. You know, they say it's like, they can see it immediately. And those are what I call smart way of growing your savings and not just letting your saving actually deplete because of inflation.
I mean, even if it depletes
Yeah.
at a slower rate lah.
Yeah. So the money, when we talk about saving now, so if we talk about finance management, right? Not only ensuring your money grow, if your money doesn't grow, invest in something that we call assets. Because of inflation, right? If you buy a house or buy a car, at least the value is there when you need to sell 10 years later. Compared to putting in the bank, it gets lesser, you buy lesser lah. And you know, last time, maybe now you save, right? You think that you can buy 100 plate of fried rice. 5 years later, because of inflation, you can only buy 3 plates of fried rice with the same amount. So that is what my understanding of a finance management understanding that young people especially should have. Because I know young people, there are 2 types lah. One who would either shop or spend away. The other one is I put aside for a rainy day because, you know, they grow up with parents who probably at that generation didn't have money. So they see how they struggle. So they also try to save. But then how you save is more important than save money.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, it just defeats the purpose. So for me, I felt that this education or this tip came to me 10 years too late.
I see.
I would have used the money I have to, let's say, invest in something or buy a property.
Okay.
Instead of saying, I will save enough lah. I will save enough for down payment 10 years later to buy. But by the time I save enough, right, the
prices
property have increased and I'm back to square one where I cannot afford the down payment. So that is one lesson to be learned. And if you're interested to find out more about the property episode, which is, I think, maybe a few episodes back, then do listen to that if you are looking at property management or property investment kind of thing. Yeah, so I think that's all we have for this episode. Just remember that sikit-sikit, lama-lama jadi bukit is no longer a concept that applies when it comes to smart finance management.
Spend wisely, save wisely.
Jom Sembang Malaysia is hosted by 2 Malaysians who are passionate about Malaysian stuff.
Stay tuned every week for a brand new Sembang session with Cerita Suito and Gina Yap Layung.
Today's episode is recorded at Studio 2105.
Remember to click like and subscribe for the brand new episode next week.